So my first son was born in 2007, and I think I really started to struggle probably 2009. And I can look back and understand exactly how that happened. I had my first baby, which is so incredible and also really difficult because you're sleep deprived and you don't know what you're doing and you're trying to keep another human alive. And that first year with him was such a whirlwind. And then I remember when he was had just turned 11 months old, I went to a conference for work and I had a flu. I couldn't shake the flu. Those of you who are moms are like, oh no, it wasn't a flu. You're right, it wasn't a flu. It was a Sawyer. And I was pregnant again. So I had a barely 11-month-old and I found out I was pregnant again, and I was so sick and so uncomfortable, and I was already struggling with one baby and now I had two. And I think just by the time, 2009, I'm a couple years into being a mom. I own and run my own business, trying to show up in all the different ways. And I just really started to struggle. And honestly, I didn't handle that stress or that anxiety well. I handled it by emotionally eating. I handled it by drinking too much. I handled it by going to sleep. I handled it by checking out. I would read books nonstop. I wasn't present because it felt hard to be present. I didn't truly understand how to make change, and I didn't understand at the time that life could be any different than it was. And it got worse and worse, and I really started to have anxiety. I kind of lived in that state of suffering for a really long time, but it wasn't until I started to have anxiety that was debilitating, meaning I couldn't get out of bed. I somehow managed to show up for everyone else. I would go to work and then I would come home and have a total breakdown. I would be in bed sobbing, and I remember Dave would be like, babe, how do I help you? And I was like, I don't know. I can't even tell you what's wrong. I just know something is. And I decided to go to therapy. I had gone to therapy when I was younger after the death of my brother. I went as a teenager, and I did about 2 years of therapy, and it was hard. Therapy sucks because you're rehashing all of this stuff that you probably don't want to deal with, because if you wanted to deal with it, you would have already dealt with it. So I sat on that couch, for a couple hours every single week and talked to her about all the things, and I got better. And I learned tools, and I learned how to get ahead of my anxiety. And I still to this day struggle with it, but I know how to manage it now, and I didn't know then. And really, that was the first step for me in the direction of who I would become and what this business would become. Because once I learned that there were tools, once I learned that there were answers, once it clicked for me, I just became obsessed. I became obsessed with reading books and listening to podcasts and watching documentaries and just absorbing as much wisdom as I could about everything. How do I be a better mom? How do I be a better wife? How do I be a better woman, leader, owner? How do I grow in all the areas of my life? And I just kind of lined them up, one at a time. I would take on a new goal every season. So I'd, hey, this is the season that I'm really going to get a handle on how I'm eating. Or this is the season I'm really going to work on growing my business. Or this is the season I'm going to put my head down. We're really going to work on our marriage. And over time, I learned these things. I'm still learning. I believe that, I'll be 95 years old and I'll still be like, you guys, you got to read this book. Because there's such incredible power in understanding that you are in control, in understanding that life can throw things at you. And I know certainly that all of us have different journeys that we're taking. All of us have different abilities. All of us are in different places with our health. We're in different places with our relationship or life or finances. That's different for everybody. But being able to access tools and information to help you navigate life better, anybody can do that. Anybody can do it for free. Everything that you want to know exists on the internet for free. So with this much information in the world, if you're not actively trying to find the answers, that's your choice. You're choosing ignorance. And I get it, because it's easier, even though you're in a place that's uncomfortable. At least you know what the discomfort feels like. at least you're familiar with your brand of discomfort. Nobody wants to be challenged to grow and change because at least we know what this feels like. I know what it feels like to be 50 pounds overweight. I know what it feels like to struggle with my health. I know what it feels like to be depressed. I know what it feels like to have anxiety attacks. I know. So even if it sucks, sometimes that's better than the unknown for a lot of us. But once I got the tools and once I started learning, it just opened up everything for me. It made life so much better. And it wasn't a magic pill and it wasn't a quick fix. It was time and energy. And so I got really excited about this idea of coaching y'all because I thought, like, what if I could speed up the process? What if I could give you the core key things that really changed for me? What if we could focus in on one thing at a time and learn together as a group? What if you guys could be enveloped in a community that I didn't have? Because I didn't have a group of people to hang out with in a Facebook group or using a hashtag. I didn't have that who would be like, oh my gosh, we know today was hard for us too. Keep going, sister, let's do it. I didn't have that. So what I'm trying to do for you guys is give you something I never had.